The dual axis system. We had this 3-inch pole from a previous experiment. We're going to utilize her and build this one up. But the system comes with this bottom plate right here to slip over a shimmed out 1.5-inch pipe or a 2-inch pipe, or to slip inside of a 4-inch pipe for flexibility. And so the bottom mount is right here. We still have our powder coat plugs in here. So we're going to assemble this one now. We already have the lower mounting tab, like what comes on that bracket, already mounted on this pole. So we're going to put our spacer in here for movement, freedom of movement. Put our lock washer nut on. We're just going hand tight for now just for putting it together. Now we go ahead and lift it up. The motor, I already put the 2-wire harness in. All that's in the instructions. It's all very simple to do. You get the jack right from the people that sell the jacks. I don't sell jacks, I just sell the stuff that goes with it. But I'll give you the measurements where to lock in the clamps and how to get to the right heights. This one was assembled when it was disassembled when it was roughly flat previously. And I've we're going to need these 3-inch bolts for the next step. Just get them up here ready. The holes are drilled real tight so there's not a lot of slop. Okay, is it on?
Yep.
Okay, this I've pre-assembled. As you can see, it's 4 lengths, 5-foot lengths of unistrut, the thicker 1 5/8 unistrut. This is your basic mounting grid for expansion and for mounting your panels directly through the top. We have spring nuts that go in here to make it real easy to mount your panels. We have the upper Y-axis bracket here, and we have a tie rod here to tie these together so you don't get any wandering. And basically this drops in. It's a little heavy. I use a boat trailer as a portable platform because of its low center of gravity and the wide grip of the wheels to help stabilize the whole platform. Like I said, all the holes are real tight so that we don't have a lot of slop. And I use a heavy-duty. This is the drop-down Y-axis. This is the key to the smooth operation of the system, of the Sunlackey system. This allows for an independent Y-axis, totally independent of where the X-axis is, to help keep it from any kind of binding. This lower axis actually moves with the main axis. Again, the bolt holes are all real tight, so they look like they're a hard time going in, they're a hard time coming back out, but they do all fit. So Sunlackey Systems are built to be easy to put together. But all you really need is a couple pair of pliers and a 3/4 inch wrench. And occasionally a hammer. But I like it nice and tight so it doesn't want to come apart on you over the years. We have a lifetime warranty on all our parts. And okay, this is the part where it would be good to have extra couple of sets of hands. We'll see what we can do. Teetering on top of a boat trailer makes it a little more fun. Now it's just a matter of getting this lined up to get the bolts through, just to pin it for now, because when we shim it up later, it makes for a much stronger mount. So no matter what kind of load you want to put on, you'll be able to do it by yourself sometimes. So as you can see, even with one bolt on there, this is probably about as strong as all the other tractors I've seen on the market right now. I see tractors on the market that are pretty proud to hold 4 panels. Sunlackey Systems are designed to be built out and expanded on. As you can see, the freedom of movement, the heavy side is up right now, and it properly balanced. Once I have the 3rd point of contact on the drive motor, it'll make these pins a lot easier to deal with. So I'll grab that motor. We have our bottom axis here, bottom linear actuator, I mean. Set that into place, take the weight off of my arm. They weigh about 25 pounds. They ship separately. My holes are pretty exact, so once we get these nuts and bolts all finger tight, then the whole thing starts making a little more sense. Now we grab this axis back down. Now, the wire for the Y-axis motor will have to travel with the X-axis movement. Now there's a hole in this drop-down Y-axis to put that wire in if you want to pull it through. Be allowed for that. And anytime you're coming down with your wires, you want to have your wires in a loop so that as the unit travels, this is the larger extreme of the movement, is this axis, up to 150 degrees. So you want to have it clamped off so that, with straps, so that the loop tightens and loosens, instead of having a wire bending repeatedly. So now we have both our harnesses coming down to where the control is. Okay, now we have the control unit. Yeah, cut. I gotta put the bolts in this. Okay, we have the main controller here to have our manual and automatic modes of operation, so that we can manually move to extend and retract these actuator arms at will for maintenance and for installation purposes. These are pre-drilled, so this mounts right into the pre-drilled holes. And finger tight will be plenty for right now. We have our X-axis plugs in. It's one of these wires. Sorry, the Y-axis. The X-axis plugs in here. Now the 4 sensors get installed. I've included some self-drilling screws, because where you want to install these is you want to get it out to the edge of your solar array. So if you build out this way 10 feet, you'll put the sensor on the edge 10 feet out. For demonstration purposes on this array, we will mount it on this edge in a pre-drilled hole. What you want is you want the sensor to be snug at the outside angle, so that the edge of your panel. So if your panels come out to here, you would mount this to the bottom edge of your panels to protrude out a little bit. We set it at optimal angle, but you feel free to play with the angle if you like to, for different, slightly different results in the tracking. But we built a real reliable system here, so we want to route our wires back towards. We have an upper junction box that all the sensors plug into. Let me go ahead and get all these sensors up. Everything is all tested before it leaves Sunlackey Systems. As you can see, there's already been a hole drilled there. So that was pretty easy. You can pre-drill holes on the ground while it's still on the ground. I'm going to route the wire in here just to keep it from flopping around too much. Inside that channel, it's a good way to route other wires as well once you've installed all your spring clips. Now we have 2 more sensors to install. So there'll be 1 on each side for dual tracking systems. Our hybrid systems, of course, only require 2 sensors, as the Y adjustment is made by the user every couple of weeks or every month or so to adjust for the season. I've located a couple of the holes here. Make things a little faster. And again, we stick out just a little bit out the end. And we also have extension plugs for these, so these wires can be made as long as necessary to reach to the ends, no matter how large you build this out. I recommend going from this point 10 feet out, and again from that point 10 feet this way, repeatedly. Of course, you want to have some full solid 10-footers. Don't just rely on this cross piece for everything. But by the time you start building out, now you can have 6 parallel upward channels of unistrut, so you can install the spring clip. It makes a very simple installation of your solar panels to the array. Now, that battery sounded a little low, but we're done with that. So now we'll just route this wire. In a real installation, we'd probably install 2 screws in here. And here's a good example of the extension. Even in that short run, these wires are 2 meters long that come from these photo sensors. Now the upper junction box does travel with the entire array as it mounts on the lower edge of this the upper Y bracket. So we can get away with wrapping the wires right here for now. Although once all the wiring is done, it's good to loom all the wires together. Now, Sunlackey Systems are set up to be very simple to operate and very simple to install. This is the power harness. It runs off at 12 volts, 12 volt DC. I got this big battery here. I don't like the looks of it though, so I'm just going to hook up to this 12 volt battery, this Ryobi here, for my 12 volt source. Minus, there's the plus. Now with the Sunlackey Systems, because we use a higher voltage motor, but we track on 12 volts, we also offer there's an additional wire for higher voltage. So these are 36 volt motors, so you can run 36 volts into the motors for faster override operation, for manual override. And so I'm using these rechargeable nickel metal hydride batteries for that. Each battery pack is only 10 volts because they're not as powerful as energizers. But by doing that, now we can put them into manual mode and get manual operation on the tracking system at the higher motor speed that the motor was designed to move satellite dishes at, actually. So now we have that set up. What we need to have is the upper sensor, the upper junction box that all the sensors plug into, and then it sends the information down to the control box. So these are simple to operate, to locate. There's a bump on the molding here, and as you're standing back here by the Sunlackey label, it mounts on the upper Y-axis with the lump facing you, and because of the type of casting, it may be necessary to squeeze the bolts together a little bit to get them in there. Done that with pliers ahead of time. Yeah, cut.
Two cameras would be better to get you at both angles.
Yeah, see, I like that kind of thinking. Because we got to do the whole other unit too, the hybrid. But we don't have to, we can redo a lot of it.
Oh, that's definitely mistakes I'd made here. The other camera would be facing in the sun, because it's dark now. Like right here. Let's see that. You want me to turn it on or no?
Yeah. Sensor, I allowed the the tracker to go ahead and start moving with the x-axis again to make a little correction to zero in on the sun. But in the normal operation, the balance between this and the other photovoltaic cells that are used for the sensing operation they will last a long time because all the power being produced from them is being consumed. One thing that deteriorates solar panels of any type, whether it's being used as a sensor or as a power source, is not using the batteries. I'm not using the power out of it. So if you don't use the power out of the solar panel, then it basically stays in the panel and destroys itself as heat. So it's a good idea to use it. So these sensors, although they're not made by Sunlackey Systems, they are a really good product, and their job is to hide from the sun, basically. So if the sun is shining on them, it moves so the sun is just glancing off of them, and that gives it a pretty good balance in order to zero in both X and Y axes on the proper angle for the sun. We're driving ourselves back into the shade again, because as we're getting late in the day, obviously the angle should be a little more than that. So it takes it a couple minutes to click in the relay sometimes, but generally if it's not interrupted, it'll just flow right along, tuned right into the sun. And again, the angles can be adjusted. Technically, with this system, you can put an extreme angle on the panels that are used for sensors, and to maximize their locking in on the sun. But a couple of disadvantages of that is that if you don't have the sleep mode that rests your tracking system to nearly flat at night, then in the morning when you go to track, like this will be facing the west, and it may not trigger immediately the sensor to make it reset for east. So it might take 45 minutes in the morning to get maximum power before it travels back again. Although we have to solve that problem by we can tie in an additional panel of the sensor type on the back side of the side that would be facing the rising sun. So the sun rises and immediately starts to retract over. So there's many things available. It just depends on how exacting you want to go with your tracking system. You know, I try to go middle of the road here at Sunlackey Systems to have something that's affordable and easy to use, dependable. Anything that I make has got a lifetime warranty. Here at Sunlackey Systems, you know, we're proud of what we produce, and the tracking system, electronics. Actually, there's no electronics in it to fail, so it's basically some tuned relays. So you have pretty much a foolproof system that's intended to give you years and years of good service. And if years and years isn't enough, send it back. And you know, if we replace something, obviously we would replace it with the current model. But the reason why, one of the reasons why I want to offer such a broad replacement warranty is because you're going to have to send pictures of your array in, of course, to me, so that validates your warranty. So obviously that speaks for itself, you know, as we see how creative people are out there with this system and what can be done with it. You know, there's got rambling.